Podcasting from Singapore and broadcasting all around the world. You're listening to the EdTech Chat Podcast, taking the pulse of educators from all over the globe and bringing what you need every week. Now, over to your host, Craig Kemp.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the EdTech Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Craig Kemp, and I'm thrilled to have you on board. This podcast is sponsored by Schoolbox. Schoolbox is an all-in-one learning management system, an LMS, community portal, and engagement platform for K-12 schools. In my time as an EdTech director, leader in a school, and as a classroom teacher, one of my biggest frustrations was too many systems. Having to remember what system to use for what purpose. Schoolbox makes it easy, with everything you need at the touch of a button, all in one place, so your school can connect, communicate, and collaborate with parents, teachers, students, and your school community from one platform. Further, you'll be able to enhance daily workflows and centralize your systems with their seamless market-leading student information system and third-party integrations. I also love that the core of Schoolbox is focused on the experience and the learning rather than the sale. In fact, most of their staff that work with schools are experienced educators, not sales staff. This week, I had the opportunity to talk for 5 minutes with Schoolbox's General Manager Grant Vanderkruk, and I know it's something that you'll want to have a listen to. I'm joined by Grant Vanderkruk, the General Manager of Schoolbox. Grant and I have been connected for a long time now, and I always leave our discussions inspired and energized. Grant, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Great to be part of this fantastic podcast series, Craig, and please let me congratulate you on the initial success of Ignite EdTech.
Thank you so much, mate. I appreciate that. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your current role, why you love it, and a little bit of an overview of Schoolbox.
I'm largely responsible for the overall performance of the business as a whole, setting the strategic direction, and then enabling a group of great people to succeed in their disciplines and having a great time doing it. The absolute favourite part of my role is the daily challenge of bringing a group of people together with unique talents, diverse backgrounds and motivations to create team success. My motivation is helping individuals grow and experience deep satisfaction that comes from doing a great job, but also contributing to something bigger than themselves. And Schoolbox is just that, a company on a great journey, contributing to society in a meaningful way. And so in everything that we do, our customers, being teachers and students, are in the centre of our business. Our overriding company goal are metrics based around student engagement, not profit, not domination of a market, but creating a real difference in the lives of young people.
Yeah, and I love that, Grant. I think it's fantastic that that's your focus. And there are so many learning management systems or LMS companies out there. I know in my role as an EdTech director, I was faced with companies approaching me all the time. Why do people choose Schoolbox, and what's their feedback to you?
Yeah, you're right, Craig. Especially in this digital age, there's so many platforms there for schools to choose from. I guess schools choose Schoolbox for many reasons, but most of all, we're selected by schools that put pedagogy and teaching learning first, and those that want to make it easier for teachers, students, and parents. Schoolbox has a very wide and deep feature set, so that allows schools to deprecate many of their third-party tools. So once Schoolbox is implemented, the remaining tools sit inside their Schoolbox instance through a variety of integration techniques, allowing all users to enter their school's digital ecosystem through one channel.
The listeners of this podcast are from all over the world and are in many different roles. I know you're based in Australia, but you do business globally. What makes Schoolbox unique that would benefit any school and teacher, no matter where they are and what they do?
As a business, we're completely committed to customer success, which means as a platform, there has to be continuous development. And this is based largely on the feedback and ideas from our user base. In fact, version 20, which was released earlier this year, brought 17 new feature requests into the platform from our community. This totals around about 100 over the past 3 years. So it's a tool and a platform developed by our community for our community. And that's a global community of currently 6 countries. And I dare say in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that'll come out to 9 countries.
Wow. That's incredible that it's growing so fast. Now, During this time, Grant, of COVID-19, it's extremely challenging for everyone. How has COVID-19 had an impact on Schoolbox, and how are you supporting schools now and post-COVID-19 all over the world?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how our usage have changed over the past 3 or 4 months. Unsurprisingly, platform engagement is up about 30%, but it was the chat feature on the class pages that drew most of our attention. We saw 2 million interactions on our social stream component within the first month of school lockdowns globally, indicating the shift to online collaboration went very, very fast in our platform. From a platform perspective, Schoolbox is already designed to enable synchronous learning. What we're able to do in the early part was to integrate Teams and Zoom and other platforms that enable video conferencing very quickly, which enable rich asynchronous learning, which we're very proud of. And our customers were largely unaffected, really, by COVID from a platform perspective. We're super proud about that, and it was an organic effect to our market.
So, Grant, there are people listening now that want to learn a little bit more about Schoolbox and how it could have a positive impact into their day-to-day learning environment within their school. What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Well, a fantastic way to get in touch is through our website, schoolbox.com.au. There's fantastic content to look at, great success stories, and obviously you can contact through us there. You can contact me through LinkedIn and the various social channels as well.
Great. I'm going to make sure that those links are in the description below. Thank you so much for your time, Grant.
My absolute pleasure, Craig.
Get connected at schoolbox.com.au. The links are in the description below. And as a bonus, finish the following sentence to get a 1-hour free consultancy with a Schoolbox educator, providing objective advice and tips on how to create a more seamless ed stack. Schoolbox is an all-in-one ... Get connected and enter at bit.ly/edtechwin. As I've shared before, I continue to work with the incredibly talented Mark Quinn to improve the final audio quality of this podcast. He has his own podcast production studio that provides editing and mastering services to content creators. To connect with Mark, please see the details in the podcast notes below. This week, I wanted to pose a question to you about your professional learning program. In today's constantly evolving landscape, one thing that remains constant is the need to learn. As educators, we thrive and survive by the way in which we learn. Professional development programs in schools offer staff an opportunity to learn and grow in many ways, and the best systems I have seen offer non-negotiables and opportunities for teachers to pursue their own individual learning pathways. Within your diverse community, how is professional development scaffolded and set up to ensure that all learners thrive? What EdTech-related PD does your school offer, and how is this integrated into a school-wide professional learning plan? I look forward to hearing from you on social media. Thank you for your questions. This week, I wanted to discuss one question from Jim Thomas, who lives in Vietnam. He asked, how do you stay organized with everything you do? Any suggestions welcomed? Well, Jim, thank you for your question. As I'm about to share with you soon in the EdTech Tool of the Week segment, I use Google Calendar and swear by it. It keeps me on track and up to date. Without it, I'd be lost. I literally plug everything into it strategically throughout the day so I get notifications and achieve my goals. I'll share some more tips in the next segment. Last week, I also talked about Google Keep, the place that I store my to-do list and sync my goals and what needs to be achieved in folders that I can see and those that I can share with other colleagues, depending on the projects I'm working on. It's been a game changer to me, and I'm thankful every day that my old colleague and good friend Heather Bernard got me onto the Keep train. Thanks, Heather. The other thing that I do that I've never been good at, but now that I own my own business and value my time much more, is say no. I've always been a sucker for being a yes man, and it's just the way that I am, but I identified it as being a weakness and set it as a goal. I'm now getting better at evaluating opportunities, the risks, and the time scale, and judging whether or not I can do it, be involved in it, or just help. Starting to say no is extremely rewarding and makes the opportunities to say yes even more exciting. If you have questions that you want answered in this segment, please also reach out and I'll do my best to include it in an upcoming episode. A tool that has positively impacted the authentic and purposeful use of technology into classrooms and meeting rooms that I've worked in is Google Calendar. As I mentioned last week, I'm an organised person, and boy does Google Calendar help me stay on top of my day. One of the things I love with my Google Calendar is that it syncs automatically and seamlessly across all of my devices, so wherever I am and whatever I'm doing, I can stay on track. I have so many favourites within my Google Calendar setup, but I wanted to highlight just 2 features that you may not have seen before that hopefully will positively impact your organisation and efficiency. Number 1, get your daily digest in your inbox every morning. If you're like me, you check your email before you check your calendar every morning over coffee. With one particular setting in Google Calendar, you can get your daily schedule sent via email at 5 a.m. Now, I don't have to check my calendar in the morning anymore. To enable this setting, right-click your calendar and select Edit Notifications. At the very bottom is an option to receive the daily agenda at 5 a.m. Make sure it has a check mark next to it. Soon, you'll start getting emails showing your daily agenda. It's a massive win. Number 2, reclaim lost time by using Speedy Meetings. Do you need more availability or free time? I know I do. Speedy Meetings reduces your default meeting time by 5 minutes per half-hour meeting and 10 minutes per hour-long meeting. It enables me to stay on time and within my schedule. Click the gear icon and choose Settings. Scroll down to Event Settings and make sure you have a check next to Speedy Meetings. It's a game changer. This week, I wanted to talk about professional development and how to infuse EdTech PD into your school's development schedule. What is critical, as I've mentioned before, is strategic implementation. When leadership teams develop strategic plans and goals, it's critical now more than ever to ensure that EdTech is woven into all elements, as it is proven to make a huge impact on learning when done well. Make sure that these strategic documents are in place or being thought about within your school before you even go down the road of professional learning. Have a listen to my previous episodes of the EdTech Chat Podcast, where I give some specific advice on this. When it comes to bringing EdTech to your professional learning program, it's important to remember your why, particularly when it comes to the often expensive PD needs of your faculty. If you can't justify the professional learning and it doesn't directly impact learning, then the answer has to be no. When it comes to infusing EdTech into your PD program, my first step is to focus on human resources. Talk to your people and spend time and energy doing what I call a human resources audit. Ask questions of your teachers and identify the 3 key areas that they need support with as a faculty. Identify these areas each year that your faculty want to learn and grow in with EdTech. Think big and think why. Link these back to your strategic goals and set one of these 3 key areas as a non-negotiable. Non-negotiables are learning activities that are compulsory for all faculty. An example of this is that my teachers want to be able to be more effective and authentic with their use of Google tools. As a team, we set a non-negotiable that by the end of the year, all teachers will be Google certified level 1 educators. A non-negotiable brings everyone together, moving towards the same goal of building capacity. It's a powerful and a great way to drive learning, especially when it comes to being on the same page to achieve a common goal. The other 2 key areas of need for your teachers become opportunities for them to grow and learn throughout the year. Strategically plan times for your staff to learn and grow together. It's important to set in stone times with leaders across your school to fix time for EdTech learning. Whether it's once a month or once a quarter, it actually doesn't matter. What matters is that importance is placed on building capacity in teachers through targeted learning. My suggestion in building a successful professional learning program with the infusion of EdTech is to set up informal learning opportunities. 3 of my favourites for implementation that I've been involved in leading are 1. Weekly pop-in PD sessions. Led initially by your tech champions and followed by teachers across your school, pop-in PD sessions last no more than 20 minutes and happen before school, at lunch breaks, or after school once a week and cover a variety of topics. These are optional, but it's a great way to start a culture of learning and caring and of course sharing together and celebrating success. Number 2. Monthly classroom walkthroughs. Classroom walkthroughs are opportunities to go class to class and have teachers share things that they're proud of in relation to educational technology. I love watching learning like this because it brings in the power of the teacher next door model. If the teacher next to me can do it, then so can I. It's a powerful mindset to have. After each session, collate the resources, share them, and encourage the teachers to chat and follow up. Number 3, quarterly Techy Breakkies. Once a quarter, one of my favourite things to do was run a 45-minute early morning session for teachers and supply them with an amazing array of breakfast, coffee and juice, with the addition of doing some engaging learning. I hope you get the opportunity to explore these ideas. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Please share with me your success stories and don't hesitate to send your questions my way. I'm always happy to help. Every week, I bring you a short interview with some of my edu heroes, an engaging learning experience with someone who makes a difference in education every day, with a particular focus or angle towards educational technology. This week, I had the pleasure of chatting with Director of Think Simple, keynote speaker, and the co-founder of the Olive Tree Free School, all the way from the UK, Abdul Chohan. Let's have a listen. Today, I have the honour of speaking with Abdul Chohan. You might know him as @Abdul Chohan on Twitter. Abdul and I have been connected for a long time now, and I'm always engaged with the amazing content and ideas he shares every day. Abdul is based in the UK and is the director of Think Simple and co-founder of the Olive Tree Free School. He is the former CEO of ESSA Foundation Academies in the UK and is a keynote speaker and global workshop host. Abdul, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. Are you ready to talk education and technology integration?
Absolute pleasure to be here, Craig, and speaking to you. I am absolutely ready to have this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Let's go. Why don't you start by describing your current role and what inspires you to do what you do?
Okay, so my current role, I suppose, is very much kind of working with school leaders, organizations, to look at how technology can add value to the day-to-day practice of teachers, as well as making organizations a lot more efficient in the way in which they operate financially and also in terms of time and developing greater efficiencies. I think technology, for me, it kind of allows us to do things that we weren't able to do in the past. So if we're able to kind of extract as much benefit from all the tools and technology that we invest in, then the likelihood is that it can make us a lot more efficient than we've been in the past. And that kind of inspires me to kind of do these pretty amazing things with organizations and meet amazing educators and school leaders and children and communities that really kind of want to do the best for the future of education in their countries.
I absolutely love following you, Abdul, and seeing the journeys that you go on, because your journeys take you all over the world and to different parts, to different areas, to different schools, groups. And I just love seeing what you do and the energy that you bring. You see so much. What excites you about education today?
I think that the speed at which technology is moving is something that can't be ignored by any sector in the world. So whether you are in education or not in education, technology pretty much kind of influences, it catalyzes, it speeds up, the way in which any industry is working at this moment in time. So for me, education is no different. And I think what's really kind of exciting are the new tools, the possibilities. It's the ability to make your imagination real and vivid and make things happen. It's the ability for a teacher just to be to explain a concept or an idea and have it recorded and screen recorded, or the drawings kind of captured. So a student can watch that as many times as they want and kind of, move that learning from their short-term memory to the long-term memory. The ability for augmented reality to kind of come into the world and integrate with the real world, and, the ability to visit, I don't know, the Great Wall of China when I'm sat in the UK through my mobile device. I think these kinds of things are adding a lot of value and excitement and enjoyment to learning. And I don't think that that's limited to schools and education. I think in the real world, people that are older, younger, they're all seeing the magic and the joy of this kind of learning.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive and an exciting time to be engaged in education. I'm seeing it as well, and I'm seeing so much excitement as long as people are willing and open to change and willing and open to engaging in new and exciting situations. So on that note, what's your best advice for educators in relation to educational technology?
I think for me, and I've been saying this to educators for a long time, I think you should have the ability to kind of explore tools. Not all tools that might add value to what you're doing, but certainly before you adopt something and you kind of make it mainstream in the way in which you teach and learn, or the way in which you adopt things in your organization, I think you need to check for simplicity, how easy it is to use the tool, and reliability. For me, those two are the magic ingredients that build consistency. So if you're able to kind of, measure for simplicity and measure for reliability. So it's not just the people that are nerdy and geeky in schools that love technology and so on, but, the teachers that are kind of amazing teachers, and technology might not be the first thing that they're really good at. But if it's simple, those amazing teachers have the ability to adopt this. And if it's reliable and it works each time, then that begins to change belief and behavior, and there's a new normal that is born out of that.
Yeah, I love that. That phrase, the new normal, is being shared a lot at the moment, particularly on my social media and people that I'm connected with all over the globe. Tell us about your choice of professional learning networks. Where do you engage, and who should we be connecting with?
I think I've got kind of quite a wide professional learning network, I suppose. I engage with educators on Twitter quite a lot. So, just kind of passively reading things that are happening in the UK, that are happening, in Southeast Asia, in Australia, US, and so on, from different educators that are kind of talking about lots of different things and views and opinions and research that's out there as well. I also kind of look at the macro picture. So you're kind of, the big guys in technology, your Satya Nadellas, your Tim Cooks, the guys that are kind of really looking at, the way in which information, like Mark Zuckerberg and the whole stuff that happened around Facebook and so on, the direction of travel. I kind of like to read about things and watch things and then take a step back and see what direction the wind is kind of blowing in and what impact that might eventually have in education as well. So it's very, very interesting in terms of where you learn and how you learn at the moment as well. But it's quite a wide net, I suppose, in many ways.
Yeah, and what sort of advice do you give to people when it comes to professional learning networks? Many people listening today may be connected already, or may know people that are not connected or are too scared to connect. What advice do you give to them?
I mean, I always say that, the possibility of kind of going on social media, you don't necessarily have to engage if you don't want to, but access to information, seeing what other people are doing, other people that are sharing, there's lots of great things out there. I would say just kind of get involved. I mean, I've said this to a lot of people, places like Twitter and stuff, you don't have to get engaged. You can have an account, you can see a lot of great educators from around the world sharing fantastic things, what they're doing in the classroom, sharing resources that they're happy to kind of share and so on. And I think it's through that sharing and collaboration that you begin to grow. You begin to form ideas. You begin to think in a positive way. You kind of get to learn from other people's experiences, what's working, what's not working. So I think it's kind of overstepping that fear, but still having the safety net of, look, if I don't want to write anything or I don't want to engage myself, then I don't really have to, but I can still see what other people are doing. And there's a lot to learn from educators that have had lots of experience in the past, and everything from education technology to research-based approaches to kind of well-being, to distance learning at the moment and so on. There's a lot of things that are out there that you can kind of gain advice on. And actually, when you do get brave enough, you can ask questions, and you'll be surprised at the number of people and educators that are prepared to help and support and get in touch and communicate with you and so on. So I think it's an exciting place to kind of be, but certainly it's worthwhile just dipping your toe in and just seeing what the social media has to say about education.
Yeah, and you shared a little bit about some of your favorite EdTech tools and some of the ways that you connect and engage with tools every day. The listeners out here today also want to know, what's a tool that you can use, maybe that they haven't heard of before, but what's a tool that you're loving using right now in your day-to-day work, or just an all-time favorite tool that the listeners might be interested in?
Oh, I've got so many tools that I'd like to add to that list. I suppose at the moment, I'm probably going to say Showbie, because if I tell you that over the last 4 weeks, I've been kind of doing 5-6 webinars a day with about 400 people as an average teachers joining from all over the world, from Ecuador, Peru, and Singapore, and the UK, and many other places. And it's predominantly kind of to look at, how can I set up that distance learning experience in a simple and reliable way? And for me, what's been really great about this is that, yes, it's a tool where you can students can submit work, and you can send assignments and things to students and so on. But I think what I like about it is that it has enabled the use of voice and video. So I can annotate documents with voice. And I'm a real believer in verbal feedback. I've kind of written some papers on that as well recently. I think it was published in the Teach Middle East magazine, and then some other stuff on Twitter I've done. But some of the impact studies that I've done with schools using this verbal feedback, it's been able to reduce workload. We've seen greater engagement from students. We've seen students actually responding to teachers. And at the moment, the tool's pretty amazing for the scenario that we're in, because I suppose in some ways I connect with it because it has that simple and reliable kind of approach, and I think that's something that is kind of we've seen happen with technology over many years, and people are kind of continuing to simplify that approach.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think what I'm noticing, particularly within my feeds, is people sharing a lot of their own learning. When schools aren't providing adequate learning for them, they're actually going out of their way to connect and engage and learn in their own way, which I really love. What's a book or resource that you've been reading lately, or just one of your all-time favorites? Tell us why we should be exploring it.
Okay, if I go to my all-time favorite, and I still kind of keep going back to it, it's a book called Insanely Simple, which wouldn't surprise you from what I've been saying earlier on. And it's by a gentleman called Segall. I suppose he kind of talks about the power of simplicity, and the impact that it has on an organization. He specifically looks at Apple's success over the past so many years, and then the idea that simplicity has kind of driven the ability for people to use technology that historically may not have used technology and so on. But for me, it goes beyond that, because I read it from a leadership perspective. I read it from the way in which meetings might be conducted in schools. I'm looking at it from the way in which you might design agendas, and the way in which you might use technology in schools and learning. And I think that the idea of simplicity really connects with education, because the best teachers can take something really complicated and present it in a really simplistic way that allows students to learn. And I think that whole concept, there's a whole connect with education and the way in which humans learn and so on. So that for me is kind of my all-time favorite. I keep going back to that, sometimes reading chapters over and again, and I'm always kind of inspired by it, and I'm always kind of picking up something new.
Mate, you've shared so many good insights for me and for our listeners today. What's the best way for them to follow and connect with you?
I'd probably say that you would probably follow me on Twitter. That's at Abdul Chohan. I do have an Instagram account, but that's just full of food and me cooking, my other kind of love. But certainly, what's it called, on Twitter, I kind of share where I'm visiting, what I'm doing. I end up getting educators from the area, from different countries, kind of DMing me, and we end up meeting up with complete strangers, but educators. We share a love of education and learning and so on. So that's the place to kind of connect with me and know where I am and what I'm doing.
Abdul, thank you so much for your time today. I'm looking forward to continuing this discussion another time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. Stay safe, and I hope to see you soon.
Next week, join me for episode 8 of the EdTech Chat Podcast, when I'm joined by someone who has inspired my journey with EdTech. He's a keynote speaker, consultant, and EdTech guru, Tom Whitby. One of the things I love doing is giving away prizes as a thank you for tuning in, listening, and hopefully subscribing and sharing to the EdTech Chat Podcast. Last week, Makers Empire gave away a full-class subscription to their program, valued at $300. Thank you to the many people that entered the competition. To win, you needed to tag myself and Makers Empire on social media and explain why you deserve the program. The winner has already been contacted, and it is Susie Lovely. In addition, the team at iPivo gave away copies of their iDocCam app, and the winners are Amrita J and Oscar O. Congratulations to the winners. This week, our sponsor Schoolbox is giving away 1 hour of free consultancy with a highly qualified Schoolbox educator, providing objective advice and tips on how to create a more seamless ed stack. This hour can be used however you want, so get entering. To win the hour of consultancy from Schoolbox, you need to go to bit.ly/edtechwin and complete the simple form and finish the sentence, Schoolbox is an all-in-one ... It'll take you less than 2 minutes. The link is in the description below. Competition closes on Wednesday the 24th of June, and the winner will be contacted directly by me and announced on next Friday's podcast episode. Good luck. If you enjoyed today's episode, please smash that subscribe button and share it with your colleagues, friends, and families. I appreciate your support. Please share your favorite part of today's episode by tagging me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And please don't hesitate to ask me questions that I can answer in an upcoming episode. Remember, you have the chance to win as well. Check out the links in the description for more. I'll see you again next week.
Thank you for listening to the EdTech Chat Podcast, creating a community for educators to learn, share, and grow. If you like today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another episode, and be in the drawing to win prizes every week. If you know others that would enjoy the show, please hit that share button and brighten their day. Join us again next week for your weekly EdTech hit with @Mr. Kemp NZ. We'll see you again soon.